The National Student Financial Aid Scheme says that talks are underway to attend to students' financial needs across the country. Currently, students at Wits have been protesting over accommodation problems and financial exclusion of those who have outstanding fees, for example, from last year. Universities have also asked NSFAS to scrap the allowance cap for accommodation, which currently sits at 45,000 rand in some of the main categories.
Trying to secure, the welfare and the well-being of the students is that we have engaged about 49 service providers who are trained and capable of accrediting accommodation service providers that we believe the NSFAS cap can actually take care of. So we will be supplying a list of all the accommodation establishments that can accommodate the 45,000 cap.
We're joined tonight by the Wits SRC President, Aphiwe Mnyamana, who's with me in studio to talk about the day's protest. Aphiwe, a very good evening to you. Thank you so much for coming in. So what is the way forward? Because when we were at Wits earlier this evening, the students were saying they were expecting you as SRC President to give them an update on talks with management. What's happening?
Okay, currently now at 8 o'clock, there is a student assembly which will update students on our talks with management. I came here in your studios on the 27th of January about the memorandum of demands which have submitted to management. On the 27th of January, we did publicize our memorandum of demands, and on the 31st of January, management responded negatively to all of our demands. And from the 31st of January till now, we've been engaging with management to say, for us to continue studying, we need these demands met. For example, the 45,000 cap on NSFAS. Wits accommodation, it costs roughly 82,000. The cheapest bed you can get at Wits is 56,000. And there is 26,000 of your meals allowances. And NSFAS is saying to us, I will only pay 45,000. So a student who is an NSFAS beneficiary must be left with a debt of over 30,000 to pay. And for example, that student is an NSFAS beneficiary. It means he doesn't have the money, he or she doesn't have the money. And next year the student won't be able to register because he or she is owing over 30,000. So we are saying NSFAS must scrap that 45,000 cap because we'll be having Wits University has over 56% of the population which is at Wits are NSFAS students. And so Wits is saying, Wits and NSFAS is saying NSFAS students cannot be accommodated in Wits residencies. That's the crisis we are facing. And also students who are owing cannot, and these students are owing, but they have the academic merits.
Yes, that's the issue of where you say you don't want conditions put on who can re-register. Basically, if you are worthy academically, you should be allowed to continue this year, even though you owe money, regardless of the amount, right?
Yes, and we're not taking this thing from far. Back in 2021, there was a concession which was made that students who are owing less than 120,000 can register. Because you must understand, Wits is one of the universities, the top elite university, which attracts more black students. And you know our history as black students. We come from poor backgrounds. And we use education as a means to develop our economic stability. We are saying students must register, students must graduate, students must find employment, and they'll be able to pay back the money. What's the use of entering at Wits, owing nothing, and leaving the system without a degree and over 200,000 that you are owing the university?
NSFAS says for its part, it's engaging with the various universities trying to find an alternative, but as far as accommodation, there are other cheaper, for example, alternatives available other than living on campus, for example. They say their hands are tied on much of the demands that you're making around the National Student Financial Aid Scheme because their budget is what it is. How do you respond?
So we have over 3,200 first years which we accommodate in our campuses as Wits. So if NSFAS says the cap is 45,000, what NSFAS is basically saying students who are on NSFAS, which is roughly 56% of our students, cannot stay on those Wits residencies. So they're excluding poor students from Wits residencies. That's what NSFAS is saying.
How much is available as far as NSFAS accredited off-site accommodation? Because I know there's also that's available.
The beds which we have, it's 21,000.
A year?
Yes, per year. That's what is accredited. And the issue with this, it was a surprise to us It was a surprise to Wits management to say NSFAS has kept our accommodation at 45,000. In the previous years, NSFAS used to accommodate. There was no cap. But right now, there is a cap, and that's an issue we are facing.
So why don't the students who are affected by the 45,000 rand cap live perhaps somewhere in Braam, where it's, as you were saying, 21,000, perhaps 40,000?
Even the 45,000 which NSFAS is giving is not enough. How much is accommodation in Johannesburg? Just where do you live? How much do you pay per month? It's roughly 6,000, 7,000. And those students, when NSFAS pay 45,000, students have to go back to their families and ask for money in order to access education. NSFAS is for poor students who cannot afford to fund themselves. Now we are asking from those poor students to have 20,000 more or 30,000 more in order for them to access education.
But how productive are your conversations with university management? Because there's a statement out tonight where, and I'm bringing it up now on my phone, the university says this, that they've reached out to the SRC, but you've declined to engage at this stage. I take that and I go back to a poster that you'd put out on social media earlier where you say this: after various engagements with the university's management, they've chosen not to concede to our demands, so we as the SRC propose another mass meeting in order to find a way forward. Did you or did you not speak? Because they say you don't want to engage, yet you say engagements have failed. What is the truth?
Let me remind you. Hence I said, on the 27th of January, I was here in your studios. After we as an SRC written a memorandum of concession to say these are the historic challenges that every SRC faces. So we have written to Wits management to say, if we can accommodate us on this, then we can find a way forward. On the 31st of January, Wits said no. From the 31st of January, I've been meeting the Dean of Students. I've been meeting the Vice Chancellor, who now doesn't want to meet me. Amid this crisis, the Vice Chancellor is on holiday. He said he can only come on Monday. And Wits is saying everything is normal. This is just a group of few students who are protesting. But they do not allow you media houses to access campus and see how bad the situation is. If everything is normal, then tomorrow Wits must allow all media houses on campus. So that
the argument is that, Aphiwe, that the situation on campus is bad because you, as the protesting students of Aphiwe, are being disruptive.
As I've said, when I first came here, students are not inherently disruptive. Students are willing to engage with management. But when we are in a negotiation, it's conflict and compromise. And Wits doesn't want to compromise anything. Wits last year was having a centenary campaign. It has raised over 2.7 billion, in which 2.7 billion, which they have raised. And we do believe Wits can accommodate these concessions which we are asking for.
What are the main ones? So you want full re-registration for this year for everyone, regardless of how much they owe on historic debt. You want what to happen with the accommodation? With the accommodation crisis, we are saying on NSFAS, they must scrap the 45,000. And now the issue we are facing, we have said to Wits management, NSFAS must scrap the 45,000. And if it happens, because students are already here, first years we have passed very well, are already on campuses. And by the end of the year, those first years won't be able to register next year because they will be owing the university. So the university, we have met with the university, and I said to them, what must happen? The deficit which is caused by these changes in NSFAS is roughly 84 million. And when I spoke with the dean and the vice chancellor, they said to us, if NSFAS doesn't scrap this 45,000 or doesn't give us the exemption, we can absorb this thing. So whose fault is it on the accommodation specifically? Is it a NSFAS problem mainly, or is Wits to blame for the situation? It is a two-way street. Firstly and mainly, it is NSFAS. NSFAS cannot say on the first day of registration, we are giving students 45,000 cap. And NSFAS is saying only Wits, UP, UCT, and universities which are in urban areas which are faced by this issue. And in the past, they have applied for exemption, and NSFAS has granted that exemption. And this year, NSFAS is saying there is no exemption. So the fault here with NSFAS is the Department of Higher Education. Hence, we believe that Blake and Wits Mnyamana are not competent enough for this position. This has been happening for the past 8 years.
It has been 8 years since fees must fall. But each and every year, campuses, SRCs are protesting for the same issue. So there must be an issue up there. And the Department of Higher Education, University of South Africa, do meet. They are not isolated, but they act like they're isolated. Okay. How come does NSFAS only accommodate 45,000 and the university charges 80,000? We are saying they must absorb the debt or they must lower the accommodation prices to 45,000. Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about the suspensions because we're running out of time. Wits University has a statement out tonight where it says that it's issued multiple suspension orders to what it calls disruptors who transgress the university's rules. How many students do you know who've now received notification of suspension?
I haven't heard of any student who's received. Suspensions are still coming. Wits is using suspension to threaten us from our course, which is saying if NSFAS is giving you 80,000, 45,000 and you charge us 80,000. There must be something. We cannot afford that. So Wits doesn't want protest. Wits is silencing us as student leaders. Right now, as I'm speaking, Wits wants to suspend the entire SRC for fighting for genuine cause. Other than Wits listening to our demand, Wits sees suspension as a way to accommodate the situation. And right now, yes.
Have the students who are now part of your march really, as noble as the cause is, really all behaved in the best way possible? Because just today there are videos online of students tearing down a lamppost in Braamfontein, flipping over a bin. What's that got to do with the protest? Does it not work against your message and what you're trying to achieve?
If you have been following Wits and Wits SRC, we had a clean-up campaign in Hillbrook to try and fundraise money for students. So Wits students are peaceful.
But I'm talking about today because we saw it on video. I'm not making it up.
Yes, I'm not making it up. But
so why is that happening?
Students are frustrated.
Does that justify tearing down a lamppost?
You cannot limit frustration. Students are frustrated. Wits does not see the agents in this matter because Wits is saying to you, everything is normal.
But that wasn't at Wits. The video I'm referencing was in the street. That's got nothing to do with Wits. You're not on your campus, so why are you damaging the city that everyone else shares?
We are not damaging the city.
But when you tear down the lamppost, when you tear down public infrastructure, you are damaging the city.
Let me tell you one thing. In 2021, there was a strike at Wits, and someone lost his life.
Yes, I recall this.
I was there. I saw it happening at first sight. And I said to students, we're going to march peaceful. If you can ask JMPT, no rubber bullets have been shot at us as students. Why is that? Because we have complied with all security measures. SAPS came today, and SAPS said to us, do not block entrances. We understand your cause. Your cause is genuine. Move around the city, gain the traction which you need, put the pressure on the VC, but do not block roads.
And that's it, right? Because even in the public, people are sympathetic to your cause. But when they see videos of yes, I mean, people have supported even during Fees Must Fall. There was a great outpouring. I remember people were dropping off food, water, supplies, financial donations. But when you're tearing down parts of the city, that is counterproductive, surely?
Wits students do not do that.
Okay, so here's what you say. Wits students don't do that. The university says this in a statement tonight. It says, during the course of the suspension processes and other investigations, we found that some of the perpetrators were committing infractions, or some of the perpetrators who were committing the infractions had been academically excluded. Some had failed multiple times, had lost their funding, and were now demanding to be registered. Is all of that true?
What we are saying, as student leaders, what we are saying, students who are academically eligible to register must register, complete their degree, and get employment, and pay back the university. So there is no way that our students are crazy. We cannot protest for fun. Protest is our last resort. I haven't been sleeping for the past 3 days. You can even hear the sound of my voice. My voice is gone. So whatever Wits is saying there, Wits is trying to make our cause, Wits is trying to sabotage our cause. Wits is trying to protect its image over what it does. I'm saying to you right now, in front of South Africa, if everything is normal, let Wits allow media houses into campus. Okay. And you must see for yourself students who are tearing down posts. You must see for yourself students who are beating bouncers. Wits is saying everything is normal, and it has hired over 500 bouncers who are undocumented. Those bouncers carry pepper sprays.
When did they arrive on campus?
They arrived on Monday. They are there 24/7. Over 500 bouncers.
Okay.
Yes. Even the workers of Wits are agitated by this. Wits has increased the wages for the workers, but Wits has the money to say we will hire bouncers rather than entertaining student demands. Okay. So that's the arrogance we are hearing from Wits.
Aphiwe Mnyamana, Wits SRC President, we're unfortunately out of time, but thank you so much for coming in tonight. We know there's that meeting that's going to happen at 8 o'clock, which you must get to, where the students will decide on the way forward. For now, thank you.